played 2 games, won 1 and lost 1, which makes our desire to go to the Mondial very, very challenging. But we believe that with the right strategy, with the right planning, with the right personnel, both technical and playing body, our Black Stars will be able to hit the target of envy and qualify us to the Mondial. When we knew that Coach Milovan was available, we were very sure that he is the right man for us. And from the work of the subcommittee, from the work of the council, and our engagement with the Ministry of Youth and Sports, we are happy that today Milovan Rajevac is here with us. He has all the experience, he's seen it before, he has been there. And we believe that with the right levels of support from the Football Association and from your good selves, he, together with the rest of the technical team, will be able to deliver exactly what we want.
Ući u ove kvalifikacije, jer biti na svjetskom prvenstvu zna samo onaj ko je bio. To je najveći korak i za sve nas.
When you go to the World Cup, you realize this is the biggest achievement and this is the best about football. And when I said in the beginning of the last campaign that we all have to work together, GFA, technical team, players, media and supporters. Last time we did it because we supported each other and we did it together, all of us. I believe we can try this time if we believe that we can achieve it and put all our resources for the same goal. Everything is possible and I strongly believe we can deliver.
Right. Let's welcome our guest for this first segment of Newsfile this morning, and joining us via phone, Dr. Nyaho-Nyaho-Tamakloe, former chairman, Ghana Football Association, here in the studio, Gary Al Smith with Joy Sports, and joining us also is Kojo Adai Mensah, former columnist, Kotoko Express, and sports analyst. We have Al-Hassan Suhini here in the studio, who will help us to do the other, discussions we have. But he has an interest in football, so he'll tell us one thing or two about it. Now, let me begin with Dr. Nyaho-Nyaho-Tamakloe. Thank you very much this morning for joining us on Newsfile, sir.
Yeah, thank you.
Great. So we understand that whilst you were ambassador, you were the first to have, directed our path to Milovan. What do you say about his return at this point and the job that has been handed him?
I think I'll start by, going through memory lane a bit so that listeners can really follow what is happening. Now, before Milovan came, we went through a series of problems with coaching. And I'm talking about our own coaches here. Now, when we entered the World Cup competition, we had a coach by the name Barreto, who I think later became Kotoko coach recently. Now, we had a couple of matches with him. He was in charge of a few matches with the Black Stars. The last was a match we had with Cape Verde, which we won at Kumasi. I think it was 2-0 or so. That was on the 19th June 2004. Now, after that, Barreto left us unceremonious. So we quickly have to get in a gentleman by the name Coach Sam Ade as a stopgap coach. Sam made it plain to me that he will handle only one match, and that match would be a match we have with Congo DR in those days. Now, luckily, it was a draw game. Now, we kept on moving gradually, and we then realized that we needed a coach immediately who would be able to handle the boys. When we brought in a coach by name Dukovic, we had quite an interesting interview with him. I remember myself, Fred Papo, and Dr. Kofi Amwa. We had a thorough discussion with him. We realized he's quite a good person. So we picked him. Now, Dukovic, what we noticed was that he was quite a tough guy, even though he had a lot of passion from the Ghanaian media. I must say that is very important. Now, despite the passion, he went on and he was able to get us to win almost all the remaining matches that we have. And I remember a match that we played in Kumasi again with Barreto as the coach, was Congo DR, once again 1-1 draw. And then we had a match with South Africa. The match with South Africa was quite an interesting match because until that time, we have never been able to win a match when we were playing South Africa. Now, we were able to defeat South Africa 3-0, and then we moved on. Now, I remember very well, after having qualified for the World Cup under Dukovic, he left the country. He left the country because I think his contract had ended. By then, I was then Ghana ambassador to Serbia and Montenegro. And then I had a call, I remember, from the then acting FA chairman, Mr. Kwesi and Fred Papo. These are two gentlemen I have worked with before. Then they asked if I can get them a coach from Serbia. And it was quite interesting. I immediately got in touch with one football child from Serbia FA, and he recommended a gentleman who came to stay in my office, and brought in, within a short time, 3 gentlemen. And I remember Milovan was one of them. I had a thorough interview with him, myself and my secretary then. And we decided, well, he is quite a good person, so we recommended him to the FA. Now, the FA also had an interview with him in Amsterdam with 2 other German coaches, one who were all interested in the position. One was Volker Finker, and the other one was Ralf Zund. And the FA decided to pick Milovan. Now, Milovan came down to Ghana, and also for the second time in our history, he was able to qualify us for the World Cup. So I think this is what I'll say so far.
Yeah. Yeah, that's great to know. But just you know, a lighter side. I was wondering, when you reached out to him, did you have to speak to him in English?
Oh no, there was an interpreter there.
All right. So he always has his interpreter around him. Yeah.
That was the point that really disturbed me a bit. But you know, then the interpreter was. It wasn't this gentleman who is with him now.
All right.
The interpreter there in the what do you call it? In the embassy, who was very good, and he was quite expensive.
Okay. Now he returns in similar circumstances as his first time in 2008. He came, and his very first competitive game was the 2010 World Cup qualifier that we had with Libya, 1-0. Then the Black Stars bounced back in the next qualifier with Lesotho, thrashing them 3-0. Now, he's coming at a time when his first competitive game is going to be a World Cup qualifier against Zimbabwe in Cape Coast. What do you make of the circumstances, and do you think that we stand a chance? Should we be as hopeful as we are now?
To me personally, I think I normally don't like second coming, honestly, because it always comes with a problem. However, he's quite a matured person. Maybe he has weighed all the various issues concerned, and he feels he can handle the board. But I think one thing that I personally would like to say about this coach is that when he was here, I was then in Stadia, so I really can't say much how he got on. But I know he got on very well with Kusina Nketi and his team. Now, he's somebody who is very strong, very, very strong. You can't easily toss him around. I remember when Barreto was around and we had we were in Greece, you know, some few years back. And Sule Muntari, my good friend, misbehaved. And I was informed we have to sack him from camp. I remember very well. And when we came back, President Kufuor called me, we had a chat. President Kufuor is somebody who never interfered before that, so I must say that. He called me and we had a chat. He said, look, now, this Sule Muntari matter, there's a whole delegation from Konomo coming to see me, so don't try to bring my popularity in that down in that area. So we all laughed over it. So yes, Sule was funny for a couple of days. I insisted, I think weeks before we got him back on board. Now this same Sule, who is my very good friend, did a similar thing when Milovan was in charge of the club. And believe it or not, he nearly sacked me. Now he did. We got bleeds from a lot of people, I think particularly from the football fraternity. He decided to give me a try. And mind you, he nearly didn't send Sinapia to the World Cup. So you can see that this is a 12 character. Now, one thing I have, or I feel, I thought the man has an unfinished job in this country.
He says so himself.
Oh, he said it himself.
That's right.
Okay. Yeah. That's interesting then. Because, you know, he felt strongly that Ghana really put him on the world map. And he has something still to offer the country. I don't think he's somebody who really needs that much money. For one simple reason that he had chains of hotels. I'm quite aware of that. If there are no more, then I can't tell. So you see him as somebody whose football is his passion, and particularly his attachment to Ghana. You know, is something.
He actually believes that, but for our nemesis, that guy, we would have qualified for, we would have won the World Cup.
Oh yeah, we got that close. I remember when we defeated, was it the Czech Republic or wherever? I've forgotten now. I had numerous calls of congratulations from various ambassadors. I remember. You know, we came that close. And if he was able to do that, you know, he's somebody that I think we have to look at carefully.
Right.
But one thing I think I have to caution here, we've always had problems with the media when coaches or new coaches have been employed. And I think the reason being that some of the media people have got interest in these various positions or this position. See, and they come out with all sort of negative comments, and this disturbs these people greatly. For instance, can you believe when Dukovic was handling, he had a call from somebody. Why? I think Dukovic was then in Germany also. He had a call that his belongings have been thrown out of his bungalow and whatnot, and a call went to the wife as well. So the wife was disturbed very much about that. I mean, I don't know why somebody should do such a thing. And if he had not been that solid, that could have disturbed him greatly. So I think we have to watch also. I'm not saying the media should be that. No, I'm somebody who believes the media should be allowed to do exactly what is there for. However, I believe strongly that their comments or attacks should be very objective.
My final question to you will be, what exactly is the benefit we get as a country through football? And I want you to summarize that for us very briefly. Because we have spent over $4 million on head coaches since Milo first left us.
No, but this is an interesting question. So, we have won African Cup of Nations 4 times. And on all these occasions, these matches were won under Ghanaian coach. Very interesting, under Ghanaian coach. Now, you ask yourself why. And I believe strongly the present coaches we have are not that strong. They are not that strong at all. Now, we've had a generation of coaches with high integrity, discipline, coaches who fear no one. I'll mention few names. Sike Jampi, 1. Ben Kofi, 2. Osam Dodo, 3. Jones Atukwefio, and maybe some Ade. These are people you can't tell them around. No one can tell them put in this guy or remove this guy. But what is happening now, you ask yourself what has gone wrong.
Milo says that's exactly who he is and that's what he will do because that is his job. But my question is, he's going to get $30,000 a month and he's going to get a signing fee. He's got a signing fee of $100,000. He's been promised $600,000 if he qualifies Ghana. Once Ghana wins AFCON 2022 and qualifies Ghana for the World Cup 2022 in Qatar as well. What do we get from all this, expenditure into soccer?
Oh, that's interesting. Look, this country definitely, I would say, during the time of Nkrumah, I was a teenager then. But to bring the map of Ghana on the world stage, 2 things. One, Nkrumah and his African policy. And then secondly, football. Football. Now, we might not have realized the tons of money that we have made through football now. But I think it's there. You follow me? Now, football really is what really brought us to the World Cup. I mean, when Asamoah Gyan was in his heyday, I mean, anywhere you go to, they say that you are Ghana, they mention his name first to you. You'll be surprised, leaving all the politicians aside. But you ask yourself, what has really football done for this country? Football has done a lot for the nation Ghana. And I don't believe at all that the amount that you mentioned, 4 million is no money. I would have said more than that should be spent on that, on football. And then we shall be able to get all the dividends that Friday might have been put in. Now,
all right.
At the moment, let me end with this. At the moment, the world is playing full stadium, the whole of Europe. Look at the number of people that come to our matches. It's 25%. You follow me? And this is money being wasted.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So I think football means a lot to this country. It brings us a lot of income. And also, football, I can assure you, can bring down the government.
Okay, thank you so very much, Dr. Nyaho-Nyaho-Tamakloe, former chairman, Ghana Football Association. And now let me get to my friends, Gary Al Smith and Kojo Ade Mensah, for making the time. I thank you very much for making the time. And last week, I'm starting with you, Kojo. And last week, when you and Gary, more particularly, sat here and gave some suggestions. You were very particular. You stressed on the need to invest in local coaches and train them. Now, listening to the press conference yesterday, I discovered that the FA president was deliberate and realized that it was important to begin the conference by stating that they are making an investment in training local coaches. Why do you think he had to start on that note? And I felt that, they were taking notes when you guys were speaking.
It felt that way too, actually. Yeah. It really felt that way. I think he started on that note primarily to address the president's concern. And I think last week I did indicate that the president came into power with the mantra that he believed in Ghana and he believed in Ghanaians. So once they were departing from that mantra, I think it was important for him to set the stage to educate Ghanaians and inform Ghanaians that they had given local coaches opportunities at the junior level, and all appointments up to the assistant were local coaches, so to speak. So I think he was addressing Gary and I and Carl, and addressing the president's mantra as well. It is still disappointing that at the helm of affairs is not a Ghanaian. I'm still quite disappointed with that. But it's now water under the bridge, and we need to move on. I'm just hoping that Milo will probably be the last foreign coach that we get. And I'd like to use this opportunity again to talk to our local coaches, honestly, especially those who are still playing, if they harbor any ambitions of being coaches, and not make it an afterthought, that while they are playing and while they are earning good money, they spend some of that good money on doing their coaching badges in UEFA. I think last week, Gary stressed the point that, with all due respect, that it looks like the CAF licensing program is not as rigid and as solid as the UEFA one. CAF need to upgrade, but our guys should go and try and get the UEFA. The Pro is the ultimate, but even if they have UEFA A's, I think it will be good enough to position them to take advantage when the opportunity arises. So while the FA boss has appointed a Serbian, which is disappointing to me, we will have no choice than to support the decision and hope that all those local coaches who have been given opportunities at the junior levels, the Amor Walkers, the Tankos, the name them, even Maxwell, the Otoados, everybody, and the Didi Dramanis, they all take full advantage of the situation so that when Milo's time is up, they will all be ready and strong enough. Dr. Nyaho-Tamakloe has alluded to that, and we have anecdotal evidence that suggests that our current local coaches are not as strong as the Joneses, the Sam Dodus, the Samades, the Ben Kofis, who will stand their ground and actually kick you out from the dressing room if you come there to come and make any suggestions, and be convinced within themselves that their decisions are right and can take us where we really want to be.
Great. Now, Gary, do you think that the plan as he outlined is sufficient to get us to where Kojo is suggesting? That by the time Milo is exiting, we will stop talking and looking beyond the shores of Ghana?
Last week, one of the things I ended with was the fact that Milo was going to come because, by that time we knew that it was a done deal. My express hope was that by the time he's done, we are, as a nation, the sentiment is that we are looking at 5 Ghanaians, 6, 7 Ghanaians, and we are bickering and fighting, as to which of them is the best one. We are sitting on Newsfile and saying Samson versus Sheikh versus, these Ghanaians. That is what we are looking at. What the GFA administration have done is the journey in the right direction. Dr. Nyaho-Nyaho-Tamakloe has alluded not once, not twice, to strength. Yesterday, when we did the live press conference in the after show, we called Prince Tego. Prince Tego played under Milovan Rajevac.
Right.
He had said 2 weeks before to Nathaniel Attor on the Sports Link that he would prefer a Serbian. So we called him and said, now you have a Serbian. And he said, look, as I said 2 weeks ago, these guys, he said, he basically used the same words Dr. Nyaho-Tamakloe used. When they say yes is yes. I have tried myself to, find out why. And I have distilled it to the revolutionary mindset around the Baltic region. They were always fighting for about 20, 25, 30 years. If you look at even Kosovo, Montenegro, all those countries in that region, they have a huge nationalistic pride about them. And like we say, Germans are mechanical and very precise. One of the things they say about Serbians, about Eastern Europeans, which, especially for those who travel to London and all that, is their hard-working mentality and their uprightness and how straight they are. I mean, if they are crooked, they are crooked. Anyway, that's what they say. But that's the thing you see about the Serbians, that strength. Wherever it is that it comes from, what I would say is that, like in your profession, like in my profession, why couldn't the names that Mr. Kojo Adai-Mensah and Nyaho-Tamakloe mentioned be pushed around? They couldn't be pushed around because they had been there and done that. Shall we begin? Sam Ade, Osam Dodu, and others. Osam Dodu was a beneficiary of the whole Kwame Nkrumah CKJ Mfi thing, where they were flown around the world, not even Africa, to give them the best knowledge from the best people in the world. The corollary to any other public service institution is having taken somebody on a national service scheme, taking him to the US, the UK. When he comes to Ghana and you want to push him around, he's going to take a pen and paper and resign. But if you look, including Sir Jones Atukwefiu and others, our current breed of coaches don't have that gravitas, that knowledge base. And so a lot of them don't even know their worth. Take them to one UEFA license A pro course. Currently, those who are doing those courses are Ronaldo, the original Ronaldo, Roberto Carlos, Oliver Kahn. When they have gone for that rigorous session and come back, and you put them in charge of RTU, or Kwabibrim United, or Kwawu United, and some board chairman in that room is coming to say, someone fa play away and shema, you just say, do you know who I have done courses with? You understand what I'm saying?
And I heard you explain something rather interesting about that kind of training, that even if you missed one of the training sessions, you are out of the entire session and you have to pay afresh. And it's expensive to start all over again.
Yes.
That's part of the discipline.
So if the GFA should take you, so as we speak, Asante Kotoko have taken a few of their staff. They have an exchange program with Southampton. If Asante Kotoko have paid for you to go on that exchange program, and your CEO at Kotoko or your board member at Kotoko hears that on one of the days you didn't go because you overslept or you missed the train, and that they have to pay again, for that course, or the GFA in what you said yesterday, Keto Kreko said they are taking 15 local coaches for some of these seminars. And then we hear in the media that Samson Ladi, as for you, when you went to oversleep, or you missed the train, or they said 3 o'clock and you appeared at 3:30. who is going to take you seriously again? So that is for me the journey on which they are that I am very appreciative of. Whether they will see it through is another matter, but clearly others have done it. Let me just finish by saying, for a long time, Dr. Nyaho-Tamakloe said at the time we met South Africa at the point, we are not beating them, and then we started beating them. Indeed, it is instructive to note that when we started beating South Africa from that 2005 time, we beat them and beat them and beat them and beat them until very recently. Now, guess what? South Africa have beaten us back to back in men and women's football, leading our national team coach, Mercy Tego, to use the perhaps politically incorrect expression that South Africa used to be our girlfriends. We used to use them anyhow. That's what she said. I mean, obviously the language could be a bit more refined, but you get the point of what she's saying. Why? South Africa have decided as a country, recently they have hired a new coach. They gave him a 5-year contract. That is unheard of in South Africa. And they have told him, we are not going to interfere with your work. Build us a team to qualify for the next African, not even this one, because that one is done, for the next African Cup. And then we are not even going to pressure you to win the 2023. We want you to also qualify us for the next World Cup.
Interesting.
You know, so if we are willing to do that, then,
And Kojo, last week you were stressing on this thing also about plan. You know, so how does the plan fit in? I'm looking at it now. I don't follow soccer that much.
For now, Samson.
I wanted to tie it in this way. I was saying I don't follow sports that much because I need you to know I don't know anything about this area. In the course of the period, I have been following you guys and Gary and his team religiously to be sure that I can prepare well for this discussion. Now, when you called the Kingston, he said his choice of Milo is because he's a disciplinarian. But you guys, last week, did you not agree that it is not exactly about the coach? How do you tie in the question of planning and everything with it being about a disciplinarian?
You know, by the time, and I think Gary just alluded to it, by the time you go through that UEFA course, by the time you go through that process, you will by default become a disciplinarian. They imbibe it in you. You know, yes, there are some who have a natural, disposition, and some people have a natural disposition of not being that strict or that being that much of a disciplinarian. But there are certain things that they will not take lightly, just out of their training. And sometimes I'm coming back to your question about the planning. Clearly, currently, what we have is a very short-term plan. The FA's announcement indicates that Milo has been given a 1-year contract. 1-year contract to, one, qualify us for the World Cup, which I don't think should be a priority, personally. 2, win the AFCON, which for me should be our #1 priority. If he does that, then they will give him another year or 2 to qualify us for the next AFCON and for the next World Cup. It still doesn't reach a 5-year period. If anything less than a 5-year period to give time, patience to build is for me a short-term measure. So we still haven't gotten into our 5-year mode. Last week I indicated that we could always go pick up Ben Kofi's 5-year plan, pick up Nyantechi's 5-year plan, and see what we can do with it and follow it through, not cut short along the way. So the whole planning thing is both the coaches, is getting strict people, and I think even the players, with all due respect, but even the players, if they come out and the coach standing there is a UEFA A, is a UEFA Pro, so he has been to the same course as Steven Gerrard, as Pep Guardiola, as Jurgen Klopp. Name them. They all have a pro, and your coach also has a pro. They would actually even give you some level of respect. I mean, you are a lawyer. Definitely, you will respect a Supreme Court judge much more than somebody who is in the lower court, just because they've gone through the ranks and gone through the years. So it's very important that we sit back, not rush this. Be it as it may, I think the FA are bent on qualifying for Russia and for the next World Cup in Qatar.
Yeah, so the question I'm asking, we are throwing all this money at him and promising to give him more and all of that. When the issue is not exactly about the coach, right? I am hearing you guys make analysis, and on Joy Sports, on my Joy Online, I'm reading all about the comparisons with players before, at the time he came, and the players now not being the same thing.
Quality.
Yeah, the same quality.
When it comes to the quality argument, I don't kind of share it 100% because he did take quite an inexperienced team to the 2010 AFCON final. It was a fairly inexperienced team, albeit coming from a World Cup triumph at the junior level. So their confidence was high and they had belief in themselves. But I don't think I buy the quality argument 100%. Yes, it's true. I don't think our current squad are the level the Asians and Muntaris and Apias were. But look, we have some decent players as well. We have the Kuduses, we have Partey, we have Amate, we have Schlop. I mean, it's quite a decent team out there. It's not a total disaster, and we can do something with them. But I think the time frame is just too short. It's way too short. I wish Milo the best, and obviously I wish we qualify for the World Cup because, as Dr. Nyaho-Tamakloe said, once you get there, your name is there on the world stage, and the repercussions are a lot. You know, something you travel, sometimes you get to immigration, they just look at your passport, it's Ghana, and they say, oh, Ghana, World Cup, well done. Then you just pass through, you know. So sometimes we like to check the benefits based on hardcore figures, you know, how much is the prize money at the AFCON, how much have we thrown at them, what's the benefit? The benefit goes beyond money, and it goes even beyond football. But I think our anxiety and our passion and desire to at all costs qualify for this particular World Cup is a bit too much. I think we should focus on the AFCON and then focus on the next World Cup and then try get to the semi-final or the final.
Do I get a sense that you are not that hopeful? Do I get a sense that you are not that hopeful immediately for the success that we expect coach to take us to?
Stu Samson.
Yes, I'm asking that in 30 seconds. Tell me, do I get the sense that you are not that hopeful as regards the immediate, success that we expect of Milo?
I am very measured. I must be very honest with you. I'm measured. I will still wish all of them the very best. I will support with all my heart and with all my mind. But I am very measured in how much of a success we will be able to chalk in this next 6 weeks.
Thank you very much. Yeah, Gary, what's your level of faith in the AFCON and qualifying us for the World Cup?
Post Kwesi Appiah, I've taken a stance that once the coach is given the job, and for those who follow me on social media, it's follow them. When it comes to a point where I feel, they really have been given a certain amount of chances, then like I did with Siki Akona, I said, based on all the prevailing circumstances, you are not going to. So for Milo, it's 100% support all the way. But not just that, it's also predicated on the fact that our position on the group that we are currently on is not precarious. It's not precarious at all. It's a blip. Now, we have a game in 2 weeks. And as they say, it may be cliched, but it's one game at a time. Beating Zimbabwe in Cape Coast is not just important that we win. People are going to watch because they want to see something. And yesterday at the press conference, Milo made a very interesting revelation.
And sincerely, if we won, will it be because of him?
No. You see, the thing about Sigi Akona, which we also said last week, was not that he was not a good coach. But, and we cycle back to the same point, that a lot of people don't like the idea that even before a ball is kicked, CK cannot take responsibility for the 11 players on the pitch. So even if you are judging him, you are feeling a bit guilty in the way you are judging him. Because you know, if you are connected, that it wasn't his own thing. But with this guy, for example, we are sure that come 2 weeks' time, if he loses the match and you watch the game, you also watch the game, and you sit down and say, oh, this coach Inofos, you are sure that it be Inofos. It's not that somebody, that is what you are looking at. So, and then finally, the final anecdote I would give, which will explain the bit of hope I have in the fact that we can do something with this man, is this. If there's one person in the last 10 years of all the local or the Ghanaian and foreign coaches we have hired, who does not give a toss about the fact that your name is Jordan Ayew. But I have seen somebody called Samson Ladi, who plays for Kwabe Brem United. He fits what I want. And so, Jordan, you know what? This game, you sit down and let Samson play. It is this man.
People say he ditched us the last time, unceremonious, the way he behaved. And we're so unhappy about it.
Chairman.
So where's his loyalty, really?
The loyalty.
It's about the competence.
So for me, right now he's in the job. You let him qualify us for the World Cup and leave us.
All right. I think that will be a very good note on which...
Is he going to do the job? If he leaves the job and he doesn't renew, he has done the job and qualified.
That would be a very good note on which we draw the curtain on this first segment of the discussion about the Black Stars. And I feel, a bit fired up, to keep my support high for the Black Stars, because it's the only team I support in the whole world in my life. Thank you, Kojo Ademens, a former columnist, Kotoko Express and sports analyst. Of course, you don't only spend your time in the banking hall or counting money, preserving our money and growing it at the Cal Bank, right? Data bank, yeah. But you find time to get so in depth into these issues. Thank you very much, and thank you also.
My pleasure. I'm married. That's Sweeney.
All right. And thanks to Gary Al Smith of Joy Sports. He is your one of your foremost international guys in the sports arena in this country. And thank you for the work you did yesterday. Some of us had to stay glued to learn about all of these things.
As we say,
thank you.
The job is the job.
Right. We will be right back to... Yes, I almost forgot about that. Yes. I almost forgot about that. Yeah.
Well, I can understand. I mean, like you, I don't follow soccer that much anymore, thanks to the Black Stars, actually. I think I got my first heartbreak from the Black Stars in a friendly we had with Germany, the Bochum disaster. Yeah. I remember I almost slept out of home that night. I remember the game was played in the evening, and after the defeat, I walked out of home, went to a nearby, school, was just lying on the veranda, just helpless.
That's what soccer does to people.
Yeah, and that is when I started taming my love, for soccer and the Black Stars. So I have since not, been a passionate supporter of the Black Stars. But every now and then, they get me having butterflies in my chest, like when they did in Germany and then later in South Africa. But they always flatter. To disappoint at the end of the day. Right. But the love is still there. You can't help it, So even when you say you don't want to follow, every now and then you see some glimmer of hope, and you follow to see if there will be some light at the end of the tunnel. But then you get hit by a train every time. But what is happening now? I mean, I've listened to a number of presentations that have been made. I've also had the time to read a few articles, and I mean, Gary and Dr. Nyaho-Tamakloe and Kojo have done a fantastic job, at making us understand the state that we are in. Clearly, for me, CK was always going to be a stopgap measure. I mean, it was as if the people in the game or in the sport picked their boy and said, "You handle this for the meantime, and let's figure out what to do." I mean, it always seemed that way to me. So I didn't really expect that much from him. And I'm not disappointed that the marriage ended on the note that it did. But, I mean, when you follow the trajectory of his, dismissal and the appointment of Rajevac, you begin to wonder if we knew all along that we're going for Milo. You know, it's as if the team or people involved knew who they wanted, but they just had to keep us in suspense and perhaps prepare our minds to accept that Milo was coming back. I mean, so let's see what he can do. Yes, he has a very rich, you know, track record with us, no doubt about that. But one will also not be. It will not be unfair for one to wonder what has changed since he left 2010, and what about his attitude has changed, and how differently are we going to relate with him this time around. The only thing I hear that makes me wonder if indeed we are assessing it properly is the fact that we are paying him $30,000 now, when we used to pay him 30,000 euros in 2010. When I do the maths, I don't really see the gain. It is just
sounds to you that his value is reduced?
No, our CD is reduced. The value of our CD is reduced.
All right, thank you.
Because if you look at the exchange rate, it's almost the same as he was earning. You know, in euros.
He says that he has an unfinished business in Ghana, and he's committed to that task. Thank you.
Let me say good morning to my ladies club in Kalpohen. In fact, they just sent me a message that they are watching. The team coach, Mr. Bingi. My regards to you and the ladies.
Thank you very much. And thank you once again, Gary L. Smith, Dr. Nyaho-Nyaho-Tamakloe, and Kojo Ade-Mensah, CEO, Data Bank. We'll be right back to ask the questions about crime and daylight robberies.